Do it.
Do it. Hello and welcome everyone to the It Just Works podcast. I am Ryan and today I'm joined with Alex. And today we are going to talk about the prequel trilogy from Star Wars. Alex, how you doing today?
Good. How are you, Ryan?
I am fan-fucking-tastic. I'm ready to talk about these prequels and maybe cry a little bit at the end when we talk about Phantom Menace. But I think we should just go right into it and start with the Phantom Menace. Um, I rewatched it last week, and I never thought it was a terrible movie. I knew it had its issues, but I watched it last week, and I still thought to myself, these kiddie jokes that they had in the movie really hold it back quite a bit. Uh, it's pretty bad. The Marvel movies, they found a way to do it right. Hell, even Blade came out in the same era, and it still had its shitty jokes, but they worked out pretty well. I just think all the kid stuff they did with Anakin and the Gungans was a little bit too much for me. Um, it's kind of unfortunate that they focused on that because they probably could have had a solid movie, with Qui-Gon Jinn and characters like Darth Maul that were introduced. They could have done a lot more there. And I also would like to say that the fact that most of the movie takes place on Tatooine, a planet we've already seen so much in Episode 4, it's like I didn't need it to be there. They should have found a different place to maybe focus on, a different planet that we haven't seen. Naboo was cool. It was the first time we got to see Coruscant because they weren't in the original trilogy until the good old digital remasters. Um, yeah, so Phantom Menace, we're going to start here. It's not a bad movie, but the things that it gets held back by are pretty strong. Alex, what do you think about Star Wars Phantom Menace? Go for it. I can
It,
tell. Go for it.
it's one of the worst Star Wars movies, I'd say. Right up there with the new trilogy that came out. Yeah, I'd say Force Awakens is actually better than the Phantom Menace. I mean, what were they thinking with all the kid jokes and the Gungans? I mean, like they learn their lessons in Attack of the Clones because it's not as kiddie. Everything's not just one giant joke. Maybe George Lucas was like, "All right, maybe I'll retire here now," but then he had to keep on going because everybody loves Star Wars. Uh, yeah, I would just say Gungans and get rid of Kid Annie and more spaceship battles and all that, and not fly into the base command ship and not be blasted away, go through 5 hangars, then find the fusion reactor, blow it up, and then once his shields go up, then they start shooting him.
I should have warned everybody that is listening to this. We aren't going to hold anything back when it comes to these movies, so please understand that we are going to be shitting on them too. And I agree with you. When Anakin flies the Naboo starfighter into the capital ship, all willy nilly, and nothing happens, it's kind of like, really? Like the Force helped him there? Like, come on, man.
He's the chosen one.
I just feel like, yeah, that's pretty bad. Um, I thought the pod racing was okay. I didn't think that part was too bad. I kind of believed into it a little bit. Either way, seeing that as a kid was super badass. Playing the Star Wars pod racer game on the Nintendo 64. For anyone listening, just got re-released on Steam, PS4, and the Nintendo Switch. It holds up very well. I bought it today for $9, and I already feel like I got my $9 worth. So go check that out. Um, yeah, ugh, God, the stuff that holds it back just really sucks. But the stuff that makes the movie great, Qui-Gon Jinn, easily one of the most badass Jedi they've ever showed in a movie. No big deal. Oh, Alex, why he's making a face, everybody? Why are you making a face?
Oh, I think he should have been, that should have been the main focus. Then they found Annie, you know?
Yeah, no, I didn't really think about that. They probably could have just made Qui-Gon Jinn the chosen one. Yeah,
Mm,
they probably
Well,
you know went down that path, but then 4, 5, and 6 were already made, so they obviously couldn't do that. But
Qui-Gon's a horrible person, too. Freaking betting on a little kid. Yeah, this is death race. All in on him.
Yeah. We'll take the 6-year-old for 500 and our starship. Okay. Oh, I didn't even think about that either. He pays money for a child slave with a starship to win a race. He bets everything on this kid to hopefully make it out of the race alive. Damn. And then his mom's okay with it. She's like, he was meant for this. Really, bitch? He might die right now.
I mean, you saw all the other pod racers; they're getting like flattened out,
The beginning, like, couldn't even,
right?
couldn't even
No, he
start
like
the race.
flies up in the sky, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He doesn't die. All of his engines blow up. But I think there's a couple of them that die that Saboba kills or something, like makes him go straight into a wall. And here we got this like 6-year-old running around doing his thing. No big deal, guys. He's not a slave in this race, getting paid by a starship to hopefully win. Oh God, I didn't think about that. That is not good. So yes, the Phantom Menace, I would say it's on par with the new sequel trilogy. It's definitely not the brightest part of the prequels. Um, the Gungans are cool, but then again, you go look at their war, and the war that they have with the droids is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. They're throwing plasma grenades from Halo at droids. They have sticks, and the droids have guns. So it's very, very weird how they went about that.
Well, they had EMP grenades too. Ooh.
They had EMP grenades to save them, but their giant Brachiosaurus fucking plasma grenade carriers blew up, or they died, so they couldn't use their EMP grenades anywhere. So that didn't work out for them so well.
I mean, even the like in episode 3 with the Wookiees, on their home planet, that whole battle scene. I mean, I guess the clones were there too, but it looked a lot better with them just charging out and then having some of their own vehicles that actually worked against the droid army versus the Gungans.
Yeah, that was one of the things I saw before we started recording this because I didn't finish episode 3. Just for clarity, I did watch it like twice in the last 6 months. But yes, I just got done watching that whole scene where Order 66 happens and you get to see the Wookiees fight the droids, and you can totally believe it. With their flying aircrafts, like you were just talking about, it's more believable than the EMP grenades the Gungans are using. And Misa Jar Jar is the general of the army as well, so it's just really fantastic.
Yeah, and then during the CGI, George Lucas took the Windows Start screen from his Windows Vista computer and just like copy and pasted it on there. That looks good.
Everyone, if you haven't seen the Phantom Menace in a while, go back and watch it, and at least skip to the fight scene with the Gungans and the droids. The entire battlefield looks like the Windows 98 start screen. So just remember that if you end up watching the movie. Um, yeah, I mean, is there anything else you'd like to add to the Phantom Menace? I can't think of anything at this particular moment. I don't think it's like terrible, but this, like I said before, the stuff that really holds it back are things that you kind of can't let go. Like the biggest thing for me, and you brought it up earlier, and we talked about it, was the Naboo starfighter going into the capital ship to blow up the fusion reactor from inside. That's bullshit. Like, no, that's not
Doesn't
a
even know
thing.
how to fly it. He's just like pressing buttons over there.
I'd like to point out, besides pod racing, he's never flown a ship in his life, but somehow managed to, with autopilot, fly his way into a capital ship hangar, which autopilot wouldn't do. So I don't know what the fuck is going on with that movie. But that's pretty much it for the Phantom Menace. We'll touch back up on that later when it comes to reviews of these movies. But we're gonna move on to Attack of the Clones. Um, it's a movie that meant a lot to me as a kid. I played the games that came out with it. So Star Wars Clone Wars came out, and you actually played as Mace Windu, and it actually shows his perspective of the battle at Geonosis, where he has to enter the arena and save everybody. And so, before we jump into it, I guess I want to just preface by saying that the movie has a special place in my heart because I think the Clone Troopers are the best part of the entire Star Wars franchise, besides lightsabers and Jedi and the Sith. So I guess what I'm saying is the last 40 minutes of the movie are pretty great, and everything else sucks. I'm, I think the Camino parts are great. I think Jango Fett giving him that backstory, which leads us into Boba Fett, is really cool. We see a lot of stuff in Coruscant with the Jedi Council. Nothing crazy, but you know, and I guess the worst part, I really got to get into it. I don't want to because it's kind of a Debbie Downer for me, but they had to show it. Is the rom com Anakin and Padme scenes that are just fucking terrible. Uh, Although I almost
I,
forgot, so I'm glad I remembered Annie. I'm glad I remembered. He does try to save his mom from Tusken Raiders once he finds out about her, uh, her being captured, and it is kind of, I guess, a really sad part in the movie, where he tries to save her, but she's lost the will to live essentially. But he kills everybody in the camp, and so that's where you kind of get an idea of how the dark side consumes Anakin at the end of the day. Spoilers, I guess, but I'm pretty sure everybody in the world's seen these fucking movies by now. Um, so one of the parts that we talked about with Phantom Menace is how kiddie it was and how the jokes really just didn't work out. Well, Attack of the Clones definitely took, besides the rom com part, a more serious side to the story that they were trying to tell, which sets up 4, 5, and 6. And I think the movies are great. Um, the Mace Windu saving everybody on Geonosis, to which leads into the massive war that we get to see on the planet, I think is just phenomenal. And the time when the movie came out, I thought the CG was great. You felt like you were there. They did a really good job. There's no Windows 98 plateau screens or anything like that. Um, didn't care for the ending so much. When Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting Count Dooku, I feel like he took him down a little bit too easy. Like it was just a little too easy for him. And then Yoda shows up and does nothing. I just think it was like a waste of those characters because these characters were introduced to us when they were older, and they were they were Jedi Masters, of course, but they're supposed to be like these all powerful Jedi, but you know Count Dooku's like throwing rocks at him and shit, and they can't do anything against him. I don't know. Uh, the movie is great, but it's not without its issues. So yeah, that's kind of where I land with Attack of the Clones. There,
a lot better than Phantom Menace, though.
it's so much better than Phantom Menace. Yes, it's a lot better.
One of my main gripes on the Dooku scene is when like he crushes the giant uh, metal pillar and like it's about to fall on Obi-Wan and Anakin, and Yoda's like, oh, like using the Force to save it. Like, why doesn't Dooku just come up and go, like stab him? Like it's either Yoda's gonna, you know, use drop it or save himself.
Good point. He could have just stabbed Yoda, and then the rock would have fell on his stupid corpse. And then he could have walked up to Obi-Wan and Anakin and just like stabbed them too.
Yeah, Saruman should have been more in the movies.
I don't know why he wasn't. Gandalf would have done a better job against him. But is there anything you don't like about Attack of the Clones, or is there anything that like you really really loved about it? Like, just give me two of those. What's something you really loved, and then what's something you really like? You would have taken it out of the movie.
Um, I mean, I would have. I loved the part of Anakin going back for his mother because it really showed his dark side. Um, but I would also take out like the whole Padme love scene. Like tone it down. I get it. They got to make two babies that go on to the franchise, but they could have made it a little less Hallmark movie ish.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know. I guess if you were to like fix anything about their romance, it would be the flower scene when they're in the field of flowers. Like, I don't know, dude. That was a little much. Like he's gonna pretend like he got fucking hit by this stupid triceratops or something, whatever the fuck it was. I don't know, man. George Lucas, I don't want to know how his love life is, but if episode 2 has anything to say about it, it ain't so hot.
So I think I know why he did this. Like he was sitting in his gold tub from
Uh-huh.
all his mucho money he's made off the franchise, and he's just reading like 50 Shades of Grey.
Right?
He'd be like, "Oh, Attack of the," and he like pulls out his notebook. He's like, "Love scene.
Needed this whole time. Thank you, 50
I
Shades of
hate
Grey.
sand. It's so coarse and rough and gets into everything."
Yeah, besides Anakin's hate for sand, and I don't know why they felt they needed to put those scenes in there. I get it. I get it. It was to show how much he hates, the Tusken Raiders for doing what they did to his mom and the, where he comes from, which is Tatooine. But I feel like they maybe could have found a different couple lines to put in there instead of that. I don't know. Um, so we're already done with Phantom Menace. We're on episode 2. What are your thoughts on Obi-Wan as a character so far, compared to old Ben in episode 4? Like, do you like what they're doing with him? Did you even care in the first place how they, developed that character, since we already know what happens to him in the fourth movie?
Yeah, I actually like his portrayal of Obi-Wan. Uh, smart, witty. No, not really smart. Gets in a lot of trouble. Anakin,
He gets himself captured on
my brother.
Geonosis. You're supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them.
Only cis and absolutes.
Oh, we're gonna get there too. What about Yoda so far? So we had him as an ugly puppet who was digitally remastered in episode 1. In episode 2, um, I wouldn't say he does a lot, but obviously we know what happens at the end of the movie with him. Do you like what they did with him, since you originally saw him in episode 5 and 6? Do you even give a shit about
He
Yoda?
look he looks fine. I always hated Yoda though. Just the way he talks pisses me off.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the questions I'd have for George if I ever got to, is why did you make Yoda talk the way you did? Just like Jar Jar with his race of people, the way they talk with Misa and Issa and stupid, like I don't
Doo doo.
understand. Yeah, maybe if they sound more intelligent, we would appreciate the character a little bit more. But I guess not, because we don't now.
It's
Um,
like Yoda's trying to like think of two sentences and like he makes them one.
right? He just combines them together. Uh, so, what did you think of the clones being introduced into this? Obviously, you know what happens to them over time, but were you excited to see that, like, the Jedi, so to speak, had like an army, which is something that we never got to see in the original trilogy?
Yeah, I liked it. I just don't understand why the Jedi's didn't question the clones more. Like, hey, this guy died 10 years ago. Maybe somebody had a master plan all along.
Who died 10 years ago?
Uh, the guy who put in the order for the clones, he was one of the masters.
Oh, yes, yes, one of the Jedi Masters who put in, like, he was the one that helped make the clones happen. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to it that you find through the games, like Star Wars Bounty Hunter, where you literally play as Jango Fett. It tells you a ton of backstory on what led him to uh, being part of the clones, a part of making the clones. And I do find it weird that like none of them questioned it to the point where they couldn't sense Order 66, like they couldn't sense something about it. The whole point of the Force is to be able to sense things, and one of the things you see in Episode 3 is Anakin is so powerful with the Force, he's literally sensing the future, like Padme dying. He doesn't know how it happens, but he knows it's gonna happen. Like he can feel it. So how can no one question? Honestly, as I'm saying this right now, how the fuck does no one question the Palpatine? How in episode 1, Palpatine's up to some sketchy shit. Episode 2, it continues it. In episode 3, he literally puts it out there on a doormat, and they still can't figure it out. Oh my god! And yeah, son of a bitch. I love the clones, but yes, it's extremely stupid that like no one ever questioned it and really put more thought into it. Like even Obi-Wan, as he's walking around Camino, it's like, bro, what? Like, question it, bro. Like, there's something wrong here. They are making a biological army. There's got to be something wrong with this, and no one questioned it.
And it's stripped from the Jedi archives. Woo! Looks like we got another mystery on our hands, gang.
Yeah, but no one wants to solve that mystery, gang. Yeah, that's true too, because he has to go to his friend that owns the restaurant at the beginning of the movie and to ask him about Camino, because, like you said, it was stripped from the Jedi records. So apparently, that's not enough of a red flag to also ask this dude, like, "Hey, like, why do you know about this, but we don't?" Damn plot holes and fuck. I still really love Attack of the Clones, but
Yeah, it's a good movie.
did you like what they did with Jango Fett, or did you hate it?
Oh, I liked it. And then with Boba too.
Yeah.
Uh, another scene where Obi-Wan, like, Boba shoots or Jango shoots his rocket, and it like hits by Obi-Wan. And he flies away from the explosion, and then Boba shoots him with a spaceship. Like, you just see Obi-Wan fly away again. It's like no burn holes or anything on him.
Like, he's totally fine, guys. Don't worry about it. And he
I
uses his.
used
Go
I
ahead.
used the Force.
I use the Force. Well, yeah, dude. You know, Leia can fly like Superman in space. Maybe Obi-Wan made it happen on planet. Jeez. Well, that's Attack of the Clones. It's a pretty good movie. The issues aren't nearly as bad as the Phantom Menace. I'm actually kind of okay with the way they killed Jango Fett. You know, with Mace Windu pretty much easily annihilating him. But it was also kind of cool because you saw Samuel Jackson in Phantom Menace, but you didn't see him do anything, so we don't know like how powerful his character is. He's got a purple lightsaber, which I guess in Legends or the lore kind of means that he harnesses a more darker side of the Force, you know, because every crystal, you know, means the Jedi's different. I'm doing air quotes for anybody listening because Alex is rolling his eyes hard right now. But anyways, so you see him, you know, fuck shit up in episode 2. So I thought that was really cool. It's just cool to see a different color lightsaber because all we knew was green, red, and blue. Um, you know, the fight scene where all the Jedi come out of nowhere, all around the Coliseum was super badass. And then from the sky, you see Republic gunships coming down, dropping off clone troopers. And it's like the first time ever you really saw like a war in Star Wars that wasn't in space, destroying the same cube. I'm sorry, the same sphere that they destroyed in the first movie. So it was pretty sick to see that. I'd say Attack of the Clones is very good. It's a lot better than the Phantom Menace. A lot of rewatchability. Um, I recommend just watching the last 45 minutes from now on if you've already seen it once. But Alex, episode 3, take it away. What are your thoughts on the movie?
I thought it was pretty good. I like the beginning scenes. I mean, it's a battle throughout the movie. I mean, it's minor political things and Emperor Palpatine, of course. You know, do it.
It's not the
Uh,
Jedi way. Do it.
yeah. Of course, killing off Count Dooku. I didn't like that. I wish he was more in the movie because he's such a great character. Uh, they showed so little of him. They showed General Grievous more than him, which I have a gripe about.
Well, before we get into your gripe about General Grievous, we'll kind of, for episode 3, since it's like such an important movie, we can start from like beginning. You know, we can kind of talk about the entire movie, whereas the other two we kind of just skipped all around. But Revenge of the Sith is such an important movie to the entire franchise, even with the stupid ass sequel trilogy. I would like to also start off by saying that yeah, once the credits got done rolling, or the opening credits, and you see the Republic capital ship flying over Coruscant, and then Obi-Wan and Anakin flying their ships, like that entire scene in the theaters back in the day was probably the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen at that time as a kid. And oh god, it was incredible to be able to also relive that in the Battlefront games. But I agree with you, like Count Dooku's probably got a minute of screen time, if that. Very questionable. And his character is a part of the conception of the clone troopers. He is such a important part of the story. and he learns up until his death that he was set up to be killed anyways by Palpatine, his own master, and to see none of that fleshed out just really sucks. I am forgetting the actor's name at this current time, but Saruman is super fucking badass, and he just did such a good job playing Count Dooku. He was such a menacing character, but you really believed in his actions for what he did, and it sucks to see him get killed off so quickly. And then you have this stupid robot that's choking all the time, or I'm sorry, coughing, and we're just to assume that he's a badass, but then he runs like a little bitch the first second he gets to. So that's pretty much the opening to Revenge of the Sith. I kind of agree with you so far. I thought General Grievous would have been cool, but I feel like they should have just made, in some way, you'd have to change the movie a little bit. All of his scenes, cut him out of the movie, and just make it Count Dooku, and make Obi-Wan finish Count Dooku on Utapau.
Hmm.
Would you do that, or would you still want General Grievous to be in the movie?
Well, I think he's cool. It's just he's too much in the movie. I mean, like especially in like the show when it expands more, he
Right.
they get away too much. And it was Christopher Lee, by the way.
It's really, thank you.
Yeah. Um, but I guess there's no other way to do it because Palpatine had to get his new apprentice, and I guess that'd be the perfect time. But I just wish it was a little later in the film,
Right.
with Dooku in it more.
Yeah, I don't know if you would agree with me here, but if anyone watched the Clone Wars series, you made a good point, like extremely brief, but you said that they get away all the time. Well, in the Clone Wars animated show, they kind of did. Like they would always end up fighting each other, like Obi-Wan and Grievous or Anakin and Grievous, and like the most bullshit reasons he would find a way to escape. And I don't know if you'd agree with me on this, but I feel like Revenge of the Sith should have got a two-part movie. There's just so much to show between the wars that they could have helped us emphasize, or not emphasize, but kind of side with the clone troopers and what they have to go through to fight in these wars, because they don't do that at all in the live action films. They only do it once, and that's also in the beginning when they're flying the AR-170s right behind Obi-Wan and Anakin, and he's saying, "Hey, there's one behind me." Anakin's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go help him," and Obi-Wan says, "No, they have a job to do, and so do we." So like you see it briefly, but could you imagine a whole first part of Revenge of the Sith going over the Clone Wars, going over General Grievous, giving Count Dooku the time that he deserves as a character, and then leading up to, actually, yeah, part two could have been everything that we got. I think,
Hmm.
yeah, part two could have been everything that we got in the original movie, but there definitely should have been a first part that goes over some of the wars that these guys went through. Maybe they could have done, actually, you know what? If they did that too, they could have maybe split the whole Anakin and Padme bullshit from
Hmm.
Episode Two into Revenge of the Sith Part One. So I wish they would have went that route. Not a lot of people did that at the time when these movies were being made, but Revenge of the Sith has so much going on, more than any other Star Wars movie made till this day, that it really sucks that we didn't get like a 6 hour movie, pretty much. Um, I know that's a little bit much, but if anyone's watched the Clone Wars, there's so many story arcs that happen that they could have fit into the movies. Like Ahsoka, she's gonna be in the Mandalorian, the live action show. So now you're just assuming that all these fans are gonna know who she is. It would have been really cool if they had her in the live action film and then brought her back after all this time in the Mandalorian. Um, Obviously, it's easy to critique it like that, though, from from what we have now. But obviously, back in the day, they didn't have all of this in mind.
They didn't have all that lore either, you know, all set up.
Right? Because Clone Wars was still being made after Revenge of the Sith. They were still building on that story. So yeah, you're right. It's easier to complain about it or critique it like that today, but at the time, they did not have the amount of content or media that we do now. I just uh, would have been cool. Let's see, what's next after that. Anakin gets appointed to the Jedi Council, but they do not grant him the rank of Master, and they want him to spy on the Chancellor. Would you say that he was overreacting a little bit about that? Because Obi-Wan makes a good point that it's never been done for somebody at his age.
Yeah, but I mean, Palpatine was kind of feeding lies into his ear that whole time he's been helping him be his friend. Uh, so he probably had doubts. He's always had doubts because he's uh, always in between the light and the dark side of the Force. So he's like a freaking elevator going up and down on it.
No, he really is. He definitely teeter-tots around on the light side and the dark side quite a bit. You definitely nailed it with that. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, because I just thought about it when you were talking about Palpatine kind of feeding his brain, do you think Palpatine was the one feeding his brain with those thoughts of Padme dying? Because dark side users have the way to manipulate people like that. Do you think that that was still Anakin just being that powerful with the Force on his own, or Palpatine actually manipulating his brain to think that Padme would have died? Because technically, if Anakin never became Darth Vader, like Padme wouldn't have died. He's the one that kills her.
Yeah, I don't think it was actually Palpatine. Um, I think Anakin, because he was doing that with his mother. So it was like right before, somebody dies that he cared about. Um, he saw the dream. So he's just foretelling the future. It's just he was going along with the actions that led it to there. But I don't think it was Palpatine at all.
No, honestly, my question is kind of stupid too because I even talked about it at the beginning of the episode where Anakin's having these um, these foreshadowing dreams, and his mom was one of them. I don't know if I talked about it while we were recording, but I definitely talked about it earlier. So I guess he wasn't manipulating him on that aspect, but he was definitely feeding his brain a lot of thoughts that made him hate the Jedi Council. But one of the things that bothers me with this whole Palpatine Anakin arc is once he finally figures out that Palpatine is the Sith Lord that the Jedi have been looking for this entire time in this trilogy, which, like I said earlier, he literally put it out there for him to figure out who he was. Um, um, I got real quick. I'm pretty sure in episode one, Darth Sidious talks to everybody he's captured inside the Naboo palace, and it couldn't be more clear that it's like the fucking chancellor, or he's a senator at the time, but
Oh,
his
he's got
like
that hood.
yeah, sorry, he covers his eyes. Everybody, I don't know who it is. Um, it bothers me that Anakin finally figures out, hey, this motherfucker is the guy that everyone's been telling me about. They were actually right to have me spy on him, even though it's against the code. They meant it for the greater good. Yet he still tells Mace Windu he can't stop being a little bitch and hiding in the council like that he asked him to. He runs to see what's going on with Palpatine to save him, and he does that. He saves him, and it's like I get we already have 4, 5, and 6, but this is all me talking about it like those movies didn't exist yet. Doesn't it seem like so horribly written the way they went about it? Like it goes against everything that his character turns into and what his character could have been. Like he could have been the chosen one and finished it right there with Mace Windu. And obviously that wasn't going to happen because we get Darth Vader, right? But why would you write the movie like that?
Uh, well, what's George Lucas writing? Uh, what I don't get is like, Palpatine tells him he's the Sith Lord, and Anakin pulls out his lightsaber. He's like, I need to go inform the council, and like gives Palpatine the chance to run away. Like, no, you're coming with me. You're under arrest.
Yeah, so he
Come on, dude. You're a general.
I didn't even fucking think about that. He doesn't arrest him. He lets him be. This guy could be halfway across the galaxy by the time Mace Windu even hears a word about the truth. Oh man, you're really good at bringing out these plot holes. I don't know how I feel about it. Uh, so yeah, I get they had to move the story in a certain direction because we already know what happens in the future. Nope, I understand, but I feel like, and maybe I'm cherry picking at this point, but I just feel like the way they wrote his ascension to Darth Vader was a little stupid. Um, do you think him killing the younglings was a little bit much? 'Cause I just watched that scene before you called me. That is a very fucking dark scene, dude. Like he straight up kills like 20 kids. Master, what are we gonna do? There's too many of them. Like I'm gonna kill you all. Like, I don't know, dude. It seems like a
No, because he was so focused on Padme, and he did that with the Tusken Raiders too. He killed all the women and children too, uh, when he was saving his mom. So I think he was just so focused on uh, helping Padme, which is this. We'll get to the ending.
yeah. So I want to hold off on the ending as long as we can. The fight and the actions that take place from that ending. So we'll move on to Obi-Wan and Utapau. How did you feel about how that played out? With Obi-Wan doing a very, very quick reconnaissance and then literally throwing himself in front of the entire droid army that was on the planet. Do you think that was just like, let's just do this because Obi-Wan does this shit? Or do you think that was kind of stupid too, where it's like, all right, guys, like, really? Like, hello there.
Yeah, I thought it was really stupid because General Grievous. Why even fight him? Like he already runs away like a coward. Might as well be like,
Yeah, no, when he jumps down and like everyone's pointing a gun at him, I'm like, dude, just finish the job. He can't deflect all of your blasters. Uh, I thought it was a little dumb. I'm not trying to cherry pick at this point. It's just kind of hard not to. I really do love this movie. Uh, I just like I honestly like maybe this is seriously like ugh, but I even think their fights fucking stupid. Like Obi-Wan takes off his hands so quick that the lightsaber battle I think is over in less than a minute or two.
Mhm.
And that's one of my biggest gripes with the Star Wars franchise is like you never get to see these epic fights
What's
until
with the hands too? Like, why not chop off a leg?
that's another question I'd write down for George Lucas. Like, why do you like taking hands off and arms? Like, do you have like a weird fetish with people losing limbs, their upper limbs? Um, did you hate the green reptile that he rides around on that screams the same scream like the entire time?
Think so
Ooh,
much.
ooh!
Thing's so annoying.
I love the way it looked as a kid, but man, watching that movie again today, I'm like, God, shut that thing up. Or when Commander Cody turns on him to shoot it, and it goes, "Ooh!" uh,
And then he falls like freaking 1,000 feet.
dude, it would have been fucking awesome if they showed the water when it landed and it just blew up. just, just
Well, that's standing water. That's like glass, or that's actually like concrete. So like
fucking
you'd see
concrete,
that.
dude.
I mean, I guess if Obi-Wan fell in afterwards, he'd be fine. But like that
Well,
thing
don't
would
worry,
have been
bro.
like
Just
like
fucking, you look like a giant gusher. Yeah,
be like the
obviously,
freaking scene off The Shining when the elevator opens.
that's exactly what it would look like. Obviously, Obi-Wan used the Force to survive his fall. Clearly. None of us know that. Everybody. It's just
This
that's
is
just
midichlorians.
it's just the Chlorian count. Um, Wait, hold on. I just realized we didn't talk about that at all yet. So the midichlorians were introduced in episode one, talked about in episode two, talked about in episode three. Did you think that was stupid, or were you okay with the fact that they just brought in some completely new like Force DNA?
Uh, yeah, it's stupid. Like George Lucas could have just said, "Yeah, it's freaking magic, and some people can harness it," and like everyone would have been like, "All right," but no, he's like, "It's in your DNA, bro. Your midichlorian count."
It's
Everybody's like, "All right, oh, okay."
all right. Okay. It's fucking magic, bro.
Yeah,
Fucking space magic. Oh my god.
yeah, come on. I mean, like, it's in the
But
blood. Like, dude shooting lightning. DNA.
It's in his DNA.
That sounds like an ad for Ancestry.com.
Chlorian count now.
Not a sponsor.
Ancestry.com is not a sponsor of your midichlorian count. So now that we got that out of the way, because I completely forgot, and that is something I wanted to talk about. Were you okay with the way Grievous died? Were you okay with how Obi-Wan took him out? Real quick before you give your answer, he gets fucking knocked over a ledge almost again, just like Darth Maul in Episode 1. And apparently Obi-Wan just likes to take the same hits. Were you okay with the outcome of their fight and the way it went about, or would you rather just be a full-fledged lightsaber fight?
Like General Grievous isn't a Force user,
Correct.
so like, why didn't Obi-Wan just be like, woof, and like shoot him off the edge? It's like, I think Obi-Wan likes falling.
Right? He's got like a
That's his like secret lie. He says he doesn't like flying, but he really does. He really enjoys it.
he talks about how he doesn't like flying ships all the time, but he loves getting knocked around, if you know what I mean.
And falling and holding onto ledges.
And getting shot off a cliff and falling 1,000 feet.
I'm the best ledge climber in Coruscant.
So he takes out Grievous. It's an okay ending. Like you said, if we were to cherry pick it, yeah, he could have just force pushed his ass off the cliff. All right, see you, Grievous. Like, I know for story purposes and cinematic purposes, you can't have that, but I wish somebody would have told George it would have been that easy. You know, like let's just fucking knock his ass off the ledge. You know, like just push him. Uh, what happens next? So before we get into the ending of the movie, I want to talk about Order 66. I personally felt like they did a really good job of making you fucking feel like it's all falling apart, that Darth Vader is rising, the Empire is coming about. Would you feel the same about that, or would you have changed anything about it?
Yeah, I thought it was good seeing, all of them die, bringing balance to the Force. Um, I would have added more Jedis, though,
I
dying.
well,
Like, it showed all the Masters dying.
right. It showed the Council dying. No one else. Obviously, they showed the Jedi Temple and Coruscant, but we can't really count that for what you're saying because it's just like some random characters in the background. You would have liked to see like full, like on maybe fights or
Yeah, like, especially in the Jedi Temple, like, there's a shit ton of them there. Show, like, freaking everybody battling it out, duking it out, not Anakin walking in there to kill some younglings.
okay, so would you maybe have put it on par with? Did you ever see the Knights of the Old Republic MMO trailer where the Sith literally crashed their entire ship with like 100 Sith warriors into the Jedi Temple and they all just start duking it out right there? But instead of lightsabers, it would have been blasters and stuff. Like you kind of wanted to see that, right? Where it's you saw the war itself, not Anakin walking around everybody.
Yeah, like, they could have took the youngling scene out and put more Jedis in there. Like, even Anakin fighting them, I mean, you saw it in the security cameras when Obi-Wan and Yoda are looking at it in the Jedi Temple. Uh,
Yes, you do. Oh my God. Sorry, I guess this is what happens when I don't finish the movie. But yes, before or after Yoda fights Palpatine, he does show him a recording of Anakin killing everybody.
oh, another stupid thing I just thought of thinking of the recording. Like, it shows him kneeling before Emperor Palpatine. Like, why isn't there a security camera? There's a security camera in the hallway, but not in his office. And it's like showing him like kneeling. Like, really?
All of his Darth Sidious dealings too, like they didn't show any recordings of that. Oh, damn it, Alex, man. Uh, plot
I,
holes galore.
I, I know I'm horrible at this.
It's just I don't. This is funny because I don't think about this shit while I'm watching it. So hearing you talk about it makes me go, fuck. um, yeah. So one of the things I would say about Order 66 is just like the Jedi Masters being killed off right away. If we don't get the scene on Coruscant that you want, I wish we would have got more of the Clone Wars styles of these masters in the hypothetical part one that I want for this movie, where you get to see more of them. Like they showed the chick on Felucia, the blue chick, and she just drops, like she just dies. It's like, was I supposed to care about her? Because I didn't, like 2 minutes ago. And I just feel like there's a little bit more backstory in the live action universe for those characters. But obviously, the music from John Williams really carries that entire scene, and it makes you feel like, well, when Yoda drops his cane and he's holding his heart, and it's like, damn, dude, this fool feels like pretty much everybody just died that he's like homies with. Uh, yeah, Order 66, even till this day, if you play Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, you experience Order 66 on Cal's scale with his master. Um, it's also extremely dark and really well done. You get to experience Order 66 on more of a first person view from the Clone Trooper's eyes in Star Wars Battlefront 2, if you play that, the original one, because the new ones suck. Um, so when we talk about these movies, also remember that they had incredible games to go along with them. If you go back and play any of them, please remember that Disney sucks and they got rid of all of Legends lore. So, unfortunately, the original Star Wars Battlefront 2, Star Wars Clone Wars, which I talked about earlier, where Mace Windu, it shows his side of the story. Unfortunately, that's not canon. But if you want more to your prequel movies, I highly recommend going and playing those games because it gives you a lot more story and also any books that came out during that time. So, I probably want to move on to the meat of this episode, and that is the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Uh,
And Yoda and
and
uh
Palpatine.
yeah.
Let's start with them first because I have a few issues with that. I really do.
Hello, my little green friend.
And once again, Yoda just kind of looks like a bitch in this fight. However, even though Palpatine almost just got straight murdered by his own lightning that Mace Windu was deflecting, like it shows how powerful Palpatine is. So would you say that maybe they wrote it that way to show that maybe Master Yoda um, was unprepared for Palpatine's level of strength, or would you say that they just kind of wasted that fight? I did not think it was that impressive with him throwing the fucking uh, the Senate's chairs essentially their platforms at Yoda. I didn't think that was cool at all.
Yeah, I think they should have took that out and made it like a giant lightsaber duel, like between Anakin and Obi-Wan, to actually show how powerful Yoda is. I mean, I guess they're doing it with the Force, but man, he threw those Senate chairs faster than that pillar that almost crushed it, Anakin and Obi-Wan.
That is true, and you know, if we got a bigger lightsaber fight, I think it would have been cool because one of the things they show us when Obi-Wan and Yoda go back to Coruscant is them killing the clone troopers outside the Jedi Temple, and Yoda is straight fucking them up, dude. Like,
Yeah.
he's annihilating them, and it's like, why didn't we get to see that with Palpatine? These are technically at that current time the two strongest Force users in the entire galaxy before Anakin technically rises to that power, but we never really see it. Um, I just feel like before the chairs and the platforms got thrown at each other, they could have had more of a lightsaber fight. Granted, they do have one, everybody. We're not saying they don't have one. It's just what we got, I feel like, was just a wasted opportunity. But it was still cool to see them fight. I'm pretty sure everybody in the theater wanted to see that fight since episode 6 or 5 and 6. I would just say Yoda as a character in the prequels was extremely underwhelming. But I guess his character is meant to be like on a mental note, like he's just that powerful mentally rather than physically, I guess. And I don't know, I don't like it.
Oh, hold
Uh,
on there.
what are you looking at?
There we go. Uh,
What'd you do?
super laggy.
Oh, okay.
I didn't do anything. Yeah, like dropped for me for a second. So what was your question?
Um, we were talking about the Yoda and Chancellor fight. Uh, I just wish that there was more lightsaber fighting in it, which is something that you kind of said too. And I just feel like it's a wasted opportunity for what we got.
Hmm.
It could have been so much more epic. Kind of like Obi-Wan and Anakin's fight is. Like their fight is fucking insane, dude. Till this day, it's probably the best on-screen fight we have, I would say. Besides,
Yeah, the thing is, like, George Lucas had to tiptoe around it because Yoda or Palpatine can't get injured or hurt, or die. Versus like Anakin, they gotta show, you know, him get the scars. Um, so there's really no um, dangerous outcome. So it's just, yeah, more lightsaber dueling.
well, I guess for anybody listening, uh, I am looking at this like the four, five, and six don't exist yet, and that's kind of I guess the issue I'm having is that they do exist, and you make a good point. Nothing can happen to these characters because then it would make four, five, and six irrelevant. It'd be like, oh, why doesn't Palpatine have that scar that he got from Yoda in Revenge of the Sith? So you're right. You're right. You got me there.
Yeah.
What do you think of Anakin and Padme's last moments together before we go into the big fight?
No comment. It was a great ending to a love movie.
It might be the best rom-com ending I've ever seen in my life. Yeah.
Hallmark would be proud.
When Snape killed Dumbledore, I was just fucking blown away by it. I don't know, man. I just kind of, I don't know. I just think it was very lazy the way they did it. Like once again, how does Anakin not see that all of his actions were false? Like he was made to believe that what he was doing was right, and it literally led to him using force choke on his fucking wife, who was pregnant with his twins, which he doesn't know about, but his baby, which ultimately leads to her losing the will to live during child labor.
So on that, Palpatine knows how to force heal and was taking her essence for him.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It. Ugh, that's just nitpicking at that point. That scene had to be what it is. So we'll move on to Anakin versus uh, Obi-Wan. Is there anything you would change about the fight, or do you feel like it was very, very well done? Because I think they fucking nailed it. I wouldn't have
Oh
changed a
yeah,
thing,
yeah, no problems with it.
except one part. There's one. I'm sorry. There is one part. So they're fighting in the control room where he just got done killing the separatist, and they're both like swinging their lightsabers around. They're missing each other, and then they use a force ability to each other's hands like this, and then it blows up, and they fly to each corner of the room. I fucking hate that scene. I
Was there no dead bodies in the control room? Did Anakin like clean them up before Obi-Wan came? So over there with like a freaking mop.
R2's
I,
just cleaning all the bodies. He's lighting them on fire and shit. Um,
practicing all his one-liners for Obi-Wan.
yeah, dude. I don't remember if the bodies are there. Oh my god! But do you not remember what I'm talking about when it
No, no,
comes?
I do, I do.
Okay, did you think that was stupid, or am I overreacting a little bit?
Yeah, I would say it's stupid because like Anakin's like what, 2 times, 3 times more powerful than Obi-Wan, and especially with the dark side flowing through him, Obi-Wan would have probably been shot to the moon.
Home run!
I mean, like Obi-Wan gets knocked out with every other force throw. Like he hits the wall and he's out.
Oh, that's true. Like Count Dooku in the beginning, like Force throws him at a fucking balcony, and then he pulls it down on him, and it's like, all right, well, that dude's out again. Damn, Obi-Wan.
He's just like sleeping.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry, he just went to sleep, guys. I feel like they really didn't treat Obi-Wan well in the prequel. They did not.
He's the ragdoll.
All right, guys, can we force push him, please? He is such a powerful character, and they didn't really show it that well.
Same with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, my boy Mace Windu was not represented very well in terms of his.
Actually, yeah, he did it before his hand got cut off and him being force pushed out a window.
Once again, Anakin shows up to fuck everything up.
Hopefully, there's a geyser down below.
He'll be fine, guys. It's only 1,000 feet. You're right. In the fight scene that he had with Palpatine, they showed everything they needed to with Mace Windu. He really fucked up Palpatine. So I'll give you that. We didn't need more Mace Windu. He had it there. It would have been cool if they filmed like a deleted alternate ending, and it just ends right there with Mace Windu impaling fucking Palpatine or something.
I mean, like, besides him, there's 3 other Jedi Masters there with him, and like Palpatine just flies through the air, and like the guy has this like lightsaber above his head, and Palpatine's just like,
He does. He just jumps up and stabs him, and it's like, really? That's it? Like, yeah, 2 of the Jedi Masters die instantly. I'm sure everyone that's listening remembers. Palpatine does his stupid spiral roaring jump and then stabs 2 Jedi Masters in less than 15 seconds, and they are out. And then our green boogaloo guy dies 10 seconds later. And yeah, dude, they just. I literally just saw that scene again today. It kind of pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie.
what's with Palpatine's voice too? Like he has like a random voice effect, like pitching up and down, like he's with his normal voice, and then he's like super dark and creepy.
Definitely changes on the regular, especially when, um, he's walking down the hall with Anakin, explaining that he could save Padme. His voice, I think, changes twice in that scene. Like, maybe it's just editing didn't hold up. That movie came out 15 years ago. Maybe it just didn't hold up very well. 15 or 16 years ago. Uh, so back to the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight. Um, so you said there was nothing you would change about it, that you think they handled it well, but you made a good point when I was complaining about my scene that Anakin is technically, at this time as they're fighting, way more powerful than Obi-Wan. Would you say that it's because Anakin didn't know how to harness his power like Obi-Wan did? Because Obi-Wan is very passive and
Yeah, I
patient.
would say so. But like even that, like but Star Killer, uh
Yeah, from the Force Unleashed.
yes, I keep on wanting to say Force Awakens. Um,
There you go.
he's super powerful and like he doesn't know how to control it, but he has like outbursts, right? Throughout the game of him showing his like huge amount of power. Yeah, so thinking like Anakin would be like that too. He's like a hormonal teenager just with midichlorians.
Yeah, I would just say that clearly Anakin wasn't ready to fight Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan isn't Obi-Wan Obi-Wan knew what he had to do, Like Obi-Wan knew that he was going to Mustafar to kill Anakin. Like he had no choice. And so I think he was just more prepared than Anakin was, because Anakin's kind of just an emotional bitch. Um, Anything about the high ground? Did you like the way he finished the fight, or would you change anything about that?
Mm, no, it's fine because it had to happen. I really wish George Lucas did 1 through 3 first, because then he could have like done so much more, uh,
Yeah.
changed so much things. But he's limited. Obi-Wan has to survive, and Anakin has to become Darth Vader.
Yeah, I just think this is something we talked about last night when we were somewhat preparing for this. Is that the climax of this movie would have been 10 times like sadder and just intense if this was first before 4, 5, and 6. And obviously, we can't go back and change any of that. But from now on, when I tell people to watch these movies, I tell them to start with one, two, and three, not because I think they're better, but because the story, when you jump from three to four, honestly, like it's kind of fucking depressing. Like Obi-Wan's a has-been. The Empire is basically ruling the entire galaxy. Like no one gets to live their lives like they'd want to. Jabba the Hutt basically runs Mos Eisley and all that. So it's like really intense when you think about it. No, I think the fight was great. Um, a couple things that the movie finishes on is, well, there's a bunch of things, so I'm gonna try to remember them as we go because it's a little bit. Were you okay with Senator Organa's like ending with Episode 3? I like the actor who plays him. They fleshed him out more in the video games, so I'm sorry if anyone hasn't played The Force Awake or The Force Unleashed. Yeah, thanks, Alex. In The
Welcome.
Force Unleashed, he's in it quite a bit and really provides that leadership that Starkiller needs to help build a rebellion. Obviously, this isn't canon, but if you go back and play The Force Unleashed, it really builds on his character. I like the way they ended it for him. What did you think of Yoda? Just he says he needs to go into exile. Real quick before you answer that, sorry. Do you know what Yoda does in exile? Did you never see the Clone Wars episodes where they show it?
Uh, is it the new ones?
No, it was like 4 years ago when they released the unfinished episodes, the ones they never released, and it's about him training with Qui-Gon Jinn. Like they literally brought back Liam Neeson to voice Qui-Gon Jinn, and he teaches Yoda how to become one with the Force. And it's an extremely intense story arc for Yoda that made me love his character so much more. Have you never seen that?
No, I haven't.
I'll have to send it to you. I highly recommend it.
Well, I mean, because Yoda teaches Obi-Wan how to talk to Liam Neeson from Taken.
Yeah, he. I don't know where you are, but I'll find you. I don't remember his line, so sorry for butchering that, guys. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, he does say to Obi-Wan, "I will teach you how to speak to your old master." So before he goes into exile in the Clone Wars show, they show him go through his entire experience to talk to Qui-Gon Jinn. But that I just realized that takes place before where we're at now with Episode 3. So I'm okay with Yoda just kind of going to Dagobah to also teach Obi-Wan how to talk to Qui-Gon Jinn. Um, Obviously, Obi-Wan takes the kids to, well, where they got to go. Senator Organa takes Leia. Obi-Wan takes Luke. But before we jump to that, and that's the final scene of the movie, um, were you okay with like Padme has lost the will to live, or did you find that kind of fucking stupid? Because she clearly didn't get choked enough, because she's still giving birth to the kids. Like she's sitting there screaming her lungs out, so she's fine. Like she's not, like, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but her lungs seem to be working pretty well because she's there screaming the kids out.
Yeah. I thought it was stupid, but then, Palpatine is talking about Darth Plagueis and how he can steal life from others to uh, better his own,
Right.
the immortality. So I was thinking, because she dies after, you know, Anakin gets cut up from Obi-Wan and burned. So, like, I could see Emperor Palpatine just using that force because he told Anakin he doesn't know it, air quotes. Um, but like he's transferring that life to Anakin's to save him because he's all fucked up.
Yeah, I feel like Anakin's wounds would have killed him. I don't see how it's possible for anybody to survive that. So I could see if Palpatine just used the Force power that we hadn't seen yet, because we see it in Rise of the Skywalker, but the two people had to be in the same room. So I don't know if that counts. But yeah, no, it makes sense. On that level, if you know he used that to save her. And then, were you okay with the ending where Owen basically, is standing on the sunset on Tatooine with Aunt May and
Yeah, that one was fine. I don't mind that.
three trilogies? I am Rey
Yeah,
Skywalker now.
I still haven't seen the last movie.
Oh, spoiler alert. That's
Oh, I don't care.
literally the last line from the movie, I think. Okay, so what? Um, so you got three movies. Which one's the worst, and which one's the which one's the worst to best for you? We're gonna probably have the same answer, but go ahead.
In order, worst to best, one, two, three.
Same here. I guess that was kind of a dumb question because it's really hard to think that the other two could be better than three. And Attack of the Clones, like I said, for the last 40 minutes is no matter what better than Phantom Menace. So, uh, yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. That's how we feel about the prequel trilogy for Star Wars. Those are episodes 1 through 3. Alex, what would you like to add?
So, at the end of episode 3, when Palpatine tells Darth Vader that Padme is dead, why didn't Darth Vader just like, no,
No.
just choke him to death? Like, you promised! Like, come on. Like, that was the sole reason why he became a Sith, is to save Padme.
And he literally choked her out. And then we're assuming, we don't know for sure, but it does make sense that Palpatine used her life force to save Anakin because it would be strong enough or whatever. Yeah, well, that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Is like, how does Anakin not just break this motherfucker? Like, I hate it. I really
And then he
hate
was
it.
talking to Padme about, like, let's overthrow Palpatine. Come on. We're already 2 steps ahead of him and 1 step backwards.
I don't know what the fuck went there. Like you said earlier, if they changed any of that, we wouldn't have 4, 5, and 6. It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
And lucky for Mr. Lucas, he gets to say that. He gets to say, "Hey, I didn't know how the whole story was going to go when I made the original trilogy," which is fine. I just fucking despise some of the outcomes we could have had opposed to what we got. Um, so, is there anything else you'd like to add to our prequel trilogy talk?
Yes, my fiance doesn't like Hayden Christensen's acting.
He's not even that bad. He's just doing his job.
I know.
Anyways, yeah. So, thank you for tuning into the show, everybody. This is the It Just Works podcast. I'm Ryan, and next week, or I'm sorry, next Star Wars conversation will be about 4, 5, and 6. Honestly, I can already tell you now, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot nicer of a conversation. A little bit more on the positive side. But when it comes to Star Wars, we have to keep it real with you. Alex, is there anything you'd like to close out by close out with?
Oh, no, I'm good. I think we covered everything.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys next time.